The New Jersey Senate is currently considering a piece of legislation which could have a direct impact on people who like to have access to the Garden State's extensive shoreline. If signed into law, a homeland security bill could prohibit access to the waterfront, possibly in Hudson County and certainly along the southern shoreline of New Jersey, where critical infrastructures such as military installations, commercial ports, and industrial facilities exist. One group expressing its concern with the proposed legislation is the Hudson River Waterfront Conservancy. Joining me now is the group's president, Helen Manogue. Ms. Manogue, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for asking me.
What is the group's and your major concern with this proposed piece of legislation?
I think the main thing is that the intent of it is sort of hidden in all the verbiage about safety and security. In other words, the bill sort of wraps itself in the mantle of homeland security, which is sort of a push to legislators to automatically accept it. What we find out is that the intent of this legislation is really to prohibit the Department of Environmental Protection from enforcing some of its rules and regulations regarding public access to the waterfront. In fact, it would prohibit the DEP from coming out and enforcing those regulations on the facilities, the list of facilities you just mentioned.
Now, there was an article in the local paper the other day which talked about this proposed piece of legislation, and since then there's a bit of confusion, I guess, as to what in fact the bill actually would be targeting, what areas of the state. Right. The article, as I recall, kind of indicated it could have a direct impact on Hoboken here in Hudson County, but that might not necessarily be the case now from what you're hearing. What have you been hearing?
Right. Well, actually, we've asked for interpretive statements from the state itself. We haven't received them yet. So there is a possibility that this act, as it is proposed right now, may in fact not apply to the Hudson County area or the Hudson River area. We are concerned, however, for the shoreline of the entire state. And if this act does, in fact, apply, and there have been several people at the Department of Environmental Protection who have told us already that it definitely applies to the Hudson River area, if it does apply, then I think we do have some concerns. And in particular, we're very concerned about a piece of shoreline along which the Hudson River Walkway extends down in Bayonne. It's on the periphery of the Bayonne Golf Club. And at the moment, there is an extensive part of that area which is banned to the general public. And the reason it is because they claim that it's right next door to an energy facility. In this case, it's an oil tank farm. Now, part of our difficulty with this bill also is that it is not only the intent to stop DEP from enforcing public access rules and regulations, but it also is that it's so vague as to what it means by a portion of the waterfront that is adjacent, quote unquote, to an energy facility. And it doesn't tell us what does adjacency mean. If indeed
right.
the public is going to be prohibited from going into that area, is it going to be for a quarter of a mile, a half a mile, a whole mile? How far does this extend?
Have you heard at this point, and we are running out of time, a quick answer, have you heard at this point when this bill is expected to go to a vote on the Senate side?
All we've heard is that it may be sometime in December. The reason we put out our original alert on this was because we thought it was going to be voted on by November 15th. And we felt there was an urgency to it at that point. So we just ran right off with the alert. But now it looks like it may be in the middle of December, and it may not happen at all in front of the Senate, simply because I think a lot of the senators are beginning to feel it isn't a completely clear bill as
right.
to what it's going
right.
to do.
Well, this is obviously certainly an issue we'll keep abreast of. I want to thank you for being here.
All right, thank you for having me.